Hello, energy party people. Calm down, calm down. Seriously, sit down, calm down. Welcome to another rousing edition of Magic Mondays. I'm your hostess, Colleen McCann, Magic Opening Facilitator. In order to get the space ready for some magic, let's smudge with some Palo Santo wood, which is a lovely sage alternative, in case you haven't heard of it. Some people have told me that it kind of smells like an old cathedral or something, old church. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Oh man, I meant to play my theme song while smudging, so let's go ahead and play that. And now.
You are magic, magic. We are magic. Magic Mondays with Colleen.
Okay, so welcome to Magic Mondays. As I mentioned before, I'm your hostess, Colleen McCann. Yeah, so I have a lot to say today. Yeah, kind of on a bummer note, or it's all divine timing, and I surrender to divine timing, even if my human self is like, hurry up. Yeah, I'm all shiny. Uh, yeah, but I got a message from my editor today, and I think she hasn't really started on my book yet. My second round. It's like, oh man, I sent it to her at the end of August, but that just happens. She said she kind of got lost and stuck on, she was editing two science fiction novels at the same time. It's like, whoa, that's my head exploding. Yeah, so she's about to start working on my baby, I guess. It was supposed to get back to me on the 29th, which is a week from this Friday, but oh well, whatever, it's all good. Um, yeah. Da, 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 da. Oh, well, let's just throw out the sponsor here. Oh, but first, let's see. Roy is here. He says, Happy Magic Monday. Nice to see you, Roy. I'm glad you're here. Oh, what's that? Your theme song? Your theme song? Here it is. He's a CPA and he's here today. It's Roy. Hi, Roy. Ooh, Roy just got the double handguns. Yeah. Usually just Yvonne gets that. So congratulations, Roy. Yeah. A lot happening this week. Well, one of the funny things is I got an email, and it was from, I guess, a journalist of some kind. And she, because the should really know what the name of this is, but kind of the line that says what, in regards to what. Wow, I can't think of the name. Anyway, and it said journalist question. It's like, okay. And she said that she saw me on the podcast. Oh, I forgot what it is, something Forever Blonde or whatever it was. It has kind of a funny name that doesn't really say what it's about. But anyway, and she said she really enjoyed when I was a guest on that podcast. And I'm like, I wasn't on a podcast. I was on a radio thing like a million years ago, and then it's been crickets ever since. So maybe that'll change with the book. Who knows? Is that the right thing? I don't know. Yeah, but so I decided to check out. Well, first of all, I told her, well, I'm not that Colleen McCann, which is funny because she contacted me through my website. So, and this other Colleen McCann, she's an energy healer also. However, like she comes from a fashion background. So anybody that knows me for a second, I'm not being mean to myself, but anybody who knows me knows um that's not been my strong suit, fashion. Yeah, just ask Sadie. But anyway, yeah, so I told her wrong Colleen McCann, but you know, I do cool stuff too, crickets. But anyway, I decided to check out that podcast, and listen to Colleen McCann talk about her magic, and it was fascinating. And it's like, wow, I could do that. I can talk about what I do. I do talk about my what I do. Like I can't try to stop me. Um, yeah, and it was fun. Like we're kind of similar, and it was lovely, and it was kind of fun to hear Colleen McCann talking on a podcast is what I'm getting at. Anyway, so that was interesting. And kind of the lesson I took from that is like, it shows me that connections can come from magical places, and unexpected places. So yay me. Oh, look who's here. It's Art and or Erica. Good morning, Colleen. What an interesting story. Another energy healer, Colleen. Yeah, I've Googled myself in the past and came up with her and like her fashion career. Um, yeah, interesting. And so, but I think it's time for another theme song. Here we go. Art and Erica, Erica and Art. Thank you for joining us, doing your part.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and look who's here. It's also the lovely Blanca. The lovely Blanca. Here you go.
Blanca. Oh, Blanca.
Thank you for showing up today. Yay! Okay. And while we're here, I'm gonna play the theme song for Pam, who often can't show up because, well, she has some nerve. Maybe she just has a life that leads to other things other than watching this. But oftentimes she's working during this time. So, and she often doesn't check in. So let's go ahead and just play Pam's song while we're here. They call her Pam. Welcome. Okay. Well, I think we're all caught up here for the moment. Yeah, rest assured, most people that watch this do not watch live. so, so thank you for everyone who watches live. I really appreciate it. And of course, I appreciate people watching later too. So welcome everybody. All right, so let's see what else I had to say. Well, I won't say who this session was for. We'll just call her B. But I had an experience recently. So I was about to do a session for B, and I had just had a few minutes. I was all ready, and I was just killing some time. So, which is a lame phrase. I don't like that, killing time, wasting time, occupying time until I was ready to work. And so I turned on the TV, but the sound would not turn on. Just super annoying. And so I tried everything, tried different remotes. I got up and turned the actual, oh God, I don't even know what it's called. Is it a subwoofer? No. Whatever it is, it makes the sound better for our TV. And I turned that on. Well, I clicked the on button, nothing. Ugh. And so I finally decided, okay, let's check in. And I asked, and this is just, I'm sharing this mostly just to let you know that you can check for anything if you choose to. Doesn't mean energy work is always the answer, of course, but it can take details out of the way to help anything else work. So, excuse me. And so I checked in and got that there was some a dark, if I recall correctly, I think it was a dark being, a dark female, who was messing up my sound. And yeah, and so I asked her if she was interested in me. No. She was interested in B, who I was about to do the session for. And so I didn't want to clean up that situation. Like I was about to start working with my client, and I like that needed to show up during my session, not beforehand. And sometimes people's energy gets my attention well before a session. It's like, oh, magic weird, it happens in mysterious ways. Anyway, and so I just asked her, "Hey, I'm happy to help you, but could you just wait 5 or 10 minutes until the session?" I got a yes, and then the sound turned on. So anyway, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. Oh, This is super important. So listen up. One of the podcasts that we listen to when we're playing Carcassonne, me and Dave, is called Family Trips with the Myers brothers. So it's Seth and I should know his name by now. They don't even talk. They call each other their little pet names or code names from childhood. One of them's Pachi. But anyway, the brothers Myers, and sometimes so they have celebrities on who talk about like interesting family road trips or family trips, and recently they had an episode where they took viewer calls, viewer stories, and so they shared like maybe 3 or 4 stories from viewers, and as they were talking, I realized, "Oh, man, I have a good story." I don't know if it's enough to make it, and maybe it's not an extensive enough story, but my story would be is that when I was a kid, I had my brother JD's pee in my mouth twice on 2 different occasions. But first, it's 11:11. Let's make a wish. So, we'll just make that a little cliffhanger for now. Words not coming. Okay, so we're gonna look at a picture and, make a wish if you choose to, whatever time it is where you live. Here we go. Okay. So, and speaking of that picture, I had a meeting with my book designer, and I showed her that, and she loves it, and she's going to work on maybe making it a little less strippery, even though I really don't have a problem with the whole stripper looking aspect of that picture, but yeah. Anyway, so there's just something about that picture that makes me go, "Fuck yeah." Um, yeah. So, blah, blah, blah. We'll get back to my brother's pee in a second. Um, what the fuck, Colleen? Did I hear that right? Urine in your mouth? Make a golden wish for 11:11, right? Yeah, so the story is the first incident was when I was probably like 6, and my little brother, my youngest brother wasn't even born yet, and my little brother must have been about 3. We shared a room at that time, because we had a two-bedroom house, and it was in the San Fernando Valley, Van Nuys to be specific, because I am literally a valley girl. Anyway, and so, we shared a room, and it was dark, so the lights were already off, everyone had gone to bed, and he said he was gonna get up and get a glass of water from the bathroom, because we had a cup in there. And back when we just drank tap water, ew. But anyway, and so I asked him to get me a cup of water, and he said, "Okay." So he goes to the bathroom, comes back in the dark. Guess what he had in that cup? I remember it was so fresh and warm, of course, and a little bit almost frothy. Mm. And so I start drinking it and then quickly realize this isn't water. Um, and probably said something like, "I'm telling mom tomorrow." And but what I did, even though I was terrified of the dark, like the kitchen was at the absolute it's if like as a child it felt like it was very far away. It was kind of a long house, and the kitchen was all the way on the other end of the house. But what did I do? Did I go brush my teeth? Hell no. I went to the kitchen and got a piece of American cheese to get the taste out of my mouth. That's what I remember. And I'm so glad I'm saying this right now because I would hate to have missed the cheese part when I tell this to Seth and Randy? No, I forget his name. Anyway, um, so that was part 1. He never got in trouble, of course. And so part 2 is, say I might have been like 13 or 14. We lived up in Newbury Park, which is in Ventura County in California, and we were on our way down to San Diego just in the station wagon. So maybe we were going to stay with a relative who, ugh. But anyway, yeah, but we were on our way to San Diego, and which was, like a couple hour drive. And so my brother, same brother, who remains nameless, except he has a body piercing jewelry empire. So you might know him by that. Anyway, and so he um he told my dad that he needed to go to the bathroom. And my dad is like, "We're not stopping. Ring any bells to anybody? We're not stopping." Of course, for us girls, he'd have to, but me and my mom. But so he just hands my brother like a jar of some sort to collect the sample. Um, yeah, and just one second. So that's right. Van Nuys is the porn capital of the world. And oh my gosh, your brother's a little terror, a glass of warm pea and American cheese. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't till several years ago that I saw that, yeah, Van Nuys is the porn capital of the world. I did not have a part in that, just so you know. I was a child. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so we're in the car, the station wagon. It was a white Buick, by the way, in case you're wondering. And so he hands my brother the jar. JD pees in it. Oops, said his name. Oh, hope he can live with the publicity he's going to get from this now. Um, yeah. So he hands it to my dad, and of course, it was a summer day. You might see where this is going. We had no AC in the car, of course, the wagon, and all of our windows are rolled down. We're on the freeway, and what does my dad do? That's right. He he just empties it out the window, and the wind factor went back onto me. That's right. That's the end of the story. Yeah, and Coop left. What happened to Coop? He checked in a while ago and now he's gone. Anyway, so that being said, that is my story to share with family trips. You heard it here first. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, before we get to another interesting energy work story, I'd like to introduce my new sponsor. They're a sponsor from Australia, and they're called Bidet Mate. And their slogan, I'm not sure how clever this slogan is, but they're paying the bills, so that's all I care about. Uh, a Dundee to save your undies. Yeah, and as well, the aforementioned brother JD, who turned me on to getting a bidet. We just have a cheap one. Um, that just kind of whatever. We don't have like a full-on bidet toilet. Anyway, I know you want to know more details, but it's really great. And ours doesn't have warm water, but it does not matter. And when my brother was trying to talk me into it, he's like, "Okay, if there's dog shit on the pavement, you don't wipe it off with a cloth or a napkin. That'll just smear it around. You hose that fucker down." So, yeah. Um, oh, well, that's sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, that was in case you're just listening, that was a comment from Art and Erica. It was quite flattering. Anyway, ooh, Shannon's here, Dr. Shannon. Wow, fun stories. Hi, y'all. Hi, Shannon. Okay, that's right. Let's find your here's your theme song. Shannon, Shannon, Shannon is here. Hey, Dr. Shannon. And Shannon, I'm sure you saw my response to your post on Facebook recently or Instagram or whatever, but it showed you at your place of business and you were adjusting somebody and working your chiropractic magic. And it was just so fun. Like, I haven't seen you in person since chiropractic school, and it's just so fun to see you across the country working your chiropractic magic and helping people stay healthy. Yeah, chiropractic's amazing. If you don't go to a chiropractor, you really should. And that includes if you feel fine. But people being people, I get it. I'm one of you. Oftentimes people have to, the shit has to really hit the fan before you go seek help. But chiropractic's great for keeping your nervous system in check and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what else did I want to say? Oh, yeah. So this happened the other day. And you're welcome, Shannon. Yeah, so the other day, oh yeah, I think Dave was feeling a little off, so he asked me to adjust him. And so as I was adjusting him, we found that he has what is called neurological switching. So something a little wonky going on with his nervous system, like signals misfiring, going to the wrong place, whatever. Um, yeah. And but the reason I was adjusting him was because he had what he described as like right flank pain. So kind of lateral on his back, his like mid to lower back. And and so he did a bunch of tests before I did anything. So I didn't even adjust him yet. He like did some tests and found that he had like really limited rotation on the right. And we had this neurological switching on the left side. Um, and we got that it was an energetic thing. And so we came downstairs, I got out my pendulum and started asking questions. And basically what came up for the switching, I wasn't even asking about the rotation. I was just asking about the switching and came up with there was something new that needed to come through, which makes me wonder if it'll show up for today for the group. Yeah, and basically when that happens, sometimes somebody in non-physical will give me an idea or something will just pop into my brain or in this case, I asked if there were any words that described what we needed to do, like some process we needed to do energetically. Yes. And the words that came up are it's a process now called supported corpus callosum interfacing. And the corpus callosum, like I haven't been in school for a long time, so bear with me, but the corpus callosum is a band of neurons in the brain that connects the right and left hemispheres. So aids in communication between the two hemispheres of the brain, both of which are very important. Of course, I'm a little more partial to the right side of the brain, which is for the left side, and I'm a proud lefty, as is Dave. Anyway, and each hemisphere has different, strengths, and they should work together. And Dave's, I guess, wasn't. So did the process. That's all that showed up. I checked him again. The switching was gone or resolved, and I don't know why magic happens to me all the time, but I don't know why this one really stuck with me of like, wow, I'm really dazzled. Because he checked out before I even adjusted him, he just checked out his rotation, and his rotation was great on the right. I didn't touch him. It's like, yeah, so I just find that really, really dazzling. Anyway, thanks for listening. And it's just a reminder, I share these stories because, well, this is a show about magic, but I share these stories to just remind you if you're ever stuck on something and you just can't resolve it for some reason, um, sign up for a session. Go to my website. Let's see, where's my website? energyhealingwithcolleen.com. Yeah, oops. So you can go to my website and sign up for a session or contact me however you might have my information. Yeah, so let's hide that. Yeah, but just know, and I know this is like, I mean, if you've been watching me for a while or if you've ever had a session with me, you know this is a thing. But I would dare say most people in the world do not know this is a thing. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and so as of tomorrow, we're getting our bags for the tenting of our house for the fumigation. And it's kind of interesting because some magic has come up. Like when I first heard about that, we had termites and we had to have tenting done and leave the house for a few days. Something in me just freaks out. Like I'm not opposed to going places. I'm not agoraphobic, but I'm pretty comfortable here at home. This is where I do my work. This is where I live my life and create stuff and do my magic. And yeah, but a lot of magic has come out of it. Very quickly, I realized, oh, I'm going to hit up a friend in San Diego who graciously said, of course. So she's a fellow magic person. So I'm assuming that magic is in store for both of us or all of us. Um, Yeah, so we get our bags to, like, put stuff in. I've never done this before, so I guess you have to do certain things with food, of course. My plants will have to live elsewhere for a few days. Luckily, I have a beautiful neighbor who will take care of that. Beautiful neighbors, I'm sorry. Anyway, so that's happening. I know, yawn, boring. Um, oh, I rewatched something recently, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in people's gifts, magical gifts. And so I don't know why I started rewatching it, but I'm so glad I did. I got so much out of it again. And it was long enough ago that I've kind of forgotten what happened in it, but it's called Life After Death with Tyler Henry. And he used to have a show called The Hollywood Medium. And he's this young guy. Well, I guess he's not so young now. What is he, like, maybe 23 now? um, yeah, he was basically a teenager doing that show, I believe. But it's super fun, and it shows like what's super cool about Life After Death with Tyler Henry is it's not just a show with celebrities. I'm trying to think, were there any celebrities in this? It was basically, I think, like 9 episodes, and it kind of intertwined him doing in-person readings for people, and he's always like he always dazzles people, and he's spot on and brings up things no one would ever, ever, ever know, even if you Googled them. Um, like even family members don't know things, like super private stuff, not inappropriately. But anyway, but it's also intertwined with his mother's story. And I wish Coop was here because we both have a friend from Hanover, California. And apparently back in the day, I don't know, like 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there was a double murder in Hanover. And it's convoluted. I don't want to ruin it for you, but there was a double murder, and Tyler Henry's mother was not involved with the murders by any means, but she was trying to, it's really satisfying. But part of the story is she was taken away as a very young child, I think as a baby, and by the woman who's the murderer. And so it's the story of her reconnecting with her birth family, and yeah, it's really fascinating. And the third component, which is probably my favorite part, is that Tyler talks about how what he does, him doing the channeling for people and then doing like thousands of people, in an audience on tour, like he said, he talks about how it takes a lot out of him. At one point, he talks about, like, inside, I feel like an old man, and when I do readings, I feel older, which I didn't know was gonna make me cry, but, that's heartbreaking. So I think I'm adding him to my list of I know it's a shot in the dark, but I'll send him a copy of my book when it's done. Because the whole time I'm like, "Oh, I'd love to check you," or like, "What's that all about?" And maybe that's just his process and that's how it is, but yeah, I think we see things differently, and we all have our gifts, and man, would I love to help him, utilize his gifts while still staying balanced and healthy and strong, because he's just a young man. Yeah. So anyway, so there's that, but I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix, all 9 episodes. It's amazing. Du- 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 du. Well, this is boring to anybody else probably, but I signed up for some coaching, which is not usually my thing. Had a writing coach for my book, and going into that, it's not usually my thing. I call myself a self-cleaning oven. I tend to take care of things for myself. Well, except for what I load on to Dave because he's my husband and my slave boy. But anyway, I signed up for some it's called Cosmic Marketing, and this is specifically aimed at healer types who have a message to share with the world in a unique solution for problems. So anyway, that starts next month. I'm excited. So, oh, Art and Erica have seen Tyler. Tyler's just amazing, and so are you. Oh, so and that would be even more amazing if you two connected. I know, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Um, or a nightmare, who knows? But I'm voting for fun. Yeah. So, and I think he's kind of a self-cleaning oven too. Like he part of it, not to give it spoiler, but trying to unravel the mystery of his mom's upbringing and why she ended up with a murderer lady who had other children who she was horrid to. Like she's this fucking monster, and went to prison for many years. Anyway, don't want to ruin it for you. Um, yeah. And where was I going with that? I don't know. Oh well, whatever. So I'm doing this coaching because getting myself out there has been a new experience. Ultimately, ever since I've been doing this show. So going on in November, mid-November, it'll be 3 years of doing this every week. And it's been so great. And I just want to thank everyone again for your part in yeah, my expansion. And because I really, a lot of us have magical gifts are not thrilled about being seen. And so this has really helped me in being okay with being seen. Um, it's a constant process that's always unfolding. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, oh yeah, and one more thing I have written down, and then we'll get to the magic. I guess Sans Coop. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't give me any indicator, but Dave this morning. Oh, speak of the devil. We'll be with you in a moment, Coop. Just this morning, just speaking of energy work and the magic of it, which I share in my book. If you want to try your hand at what I do and see where it takes you. Yeah, sharing what I do is a huge deal for me. Just so you know. Yeah. But Dave, this morning we were just waking up, and luckily we always have 10 minutes before we have to get up because we have a timer set for. It was Dave's idea too. It's a mandatory snuggling time before we get up. So, and I was just checking in with him. How are you feeling? And it's like, yeah, I usually have to ask him, but because he's a dude and he's just kind of like, that's how it is, and he sucks it up. But it's like, dude, I feel you. So please let me know. But he was feeling kind of sketchy, kind of unsteady. And he said, kind of like everything is going to come crashing down and nothing is ever going to be okay. Kind of like that. So I asked him if we should just go ahead and check in on it or adjust him. And so I went downstairs and got my pendulum and my binder and checked in on it. And ultimately, what was happening to him kind of happened to me recently. And ultimately, what we got, I asked, if all these feelings of doom and everything, if all that energy belonged to him. That's one of my magic questions. When you're feeling shitty, like, does all of this even belong to me? And it was a big no. It belonged to somebody, a human on the planet, cleaned that up. And ultimately, to clean that up, it required sealing up a negative portal. And so that person's energy was gone. And then I checked, is all the rest of this, does this belong to you? Nope. And it was somebody in non-physical, and it was somebody from the dark. And blah blah blah. And ultimately, this happened to me. I think I maybe mentioned it recently. We had some friends coming over for dinner, and shortly before they were to come over, I just felt super fucking shitty, and it was dark entities coming into my world and fucking me up. And how I solved it for myself and for Dave this morning was, ultimately there was a portal that was open, allowing in shit. So you might want to think of it as like a chink in the armor, like a vulnerability in your energy field or whatever, sealed it up. And I checked in with Dave, and last I heard, he feels fine. And I told him, tell me if you don't feel good. I'll, like, you've got my work on tap, dude. So just do it. Just tell me. Anyway, so that being said, enough of my yakking. Let's boogie and get Coop here. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Ooh, ooh, we're catching up with Coop.
We're catching up with Coop.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Coop.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm having some technical difficulties. Lost my internet. I have my internet through Verizon. So it says I live in a 5G area, but I have shitty 4G. So it just kind of.
Do you have to have good 4G to get 5G?
Yes.
That sounds like an obvious thing, but
Yeah. So no, if I go like a couple of blocks away, it is 5G, but where I live, it isn't. So
so is this the like Verizon kind of cheaper internet?
yeah. I mean, for the most, yes. I think it's pretty good for the most part because I have a Verizon phone. I only pay $25 a month. So
Yeah, I've heard about that, and when I've asked about it, it's like, "Not in your area." And we live
um,
up on a hill, and so maybe that's it, even though that seems like we'd be closer to.
um, yeah, no, if you have Verizon cell phone in your house, you should be able to get Verizon home internet because it's just it does kind of it if you do have shitty, cell phone service, you won't have a good internet service. But I put the router upstairs and by the window. That makes it a lot faster.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
and
Yeah, I
yeah,
would totally give it a try if we were allowed to, but last I checked, maybe I'll check again, but last I
yeah,
checked.
yeah, that's really weird because yeah, it should be available wherever. Like I can unplug it and take it with me wherever, plug it in again. It's a as long as I have a cell signal, suppose I'll have internet.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it does kind of. I have had some intermittent issues with it just turning off. So, um,
Well, I guess we're just gonna have to stick with Cox.
really interesting. You don't even have like Comcast or anything like that, huh?
No, Cox. Yeah,
But no,
Cox.
I'm good. It's been beautiful here. It's like mid 80s the last few days, and all the rest
Wow,
of the
it's
week.
been cold here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
we haven't like for the last couple nights, we haven't even had the fan on in the bedroom.
so I must feel like it's gonna get hot one more time, really, really hot. But it's getting kind of late.
It'll get hot again, I'm sure.
But yeah, usually like right about now is when it gets blazing that last time. So
Oh,
I don't know. I'm hoping maybe it'll just have a nice because it was a beautiful spring here. And in June it was like maybe one day over 80 or over 90 rather. So yeah, I could use a nice. God, it seems so hot to me. I don't know. So yeah, I've just been loving it. It's been
well,
great.
good. Well, good.
Yeah, nice
I'm trying to think, is there anything else to say before we do some magic?
I don't think so. I don't have anything to say. I want to see what the pendulum's got to say.
Okay, cool. So let's do a quick grounding. Pick a chakra, any chakra. I'm going to go with my third eye today. The color for that is indigo, which is a blue. Anyway, I really know my colors. Okay, so if you want to play along, picturing that light, that beautiful indigo light, expanding out, out, out to the far reaches of the universe, sharing our energy with the rest of us, since we're all one and all. And we're going to send some of that down into beautiful Mother Earth Gaia, establishing some roots and bringing up some of her beautiful, nourishing energy. And we're going to open up our crown chakras to allow in the cosmic energy to interface with Gaia's energy, creating a connection. A connection. I think you get it. We're the connection. Words, not humming. Oh, and Shannon says Indian summer in October, November. Yeah, I wonder why they call it Indian summer. Anything? Well, that mystery is going to have to just be that way for a second. Okay, so let's see if there's any dead people, any stuck souls that just need an exit strategy. So we're putting out the call for any souls that are just ready to move on to the light and just need an exit strategy. So, all right. So do we have any dead people takers? Yep. Okay. Is our best escort Jesus? Yes. Jesus, are you ready? Okay. So let's give Jesus a moment to welcome those people to the light. Okay. So have we successfully released these dead people to the light? Yay. Thank you, Jesus. I probably mentioned it before, but back in the day, like when I first started releasing dead people in sessions and I worked in an office, so I was seeing people one after the other. Oh my God, I can't even imagine doing that now. But Yeah, and I would always tell people like, "Okay, you had a dead person with you, and just here's my phone number, and if you are feeling not like yourself or off, send me a text. I'll see if you have a dead person with you. No charge." And so I would get texts all the time, including in the middle of the night. Yeah, and, I had to put the kibosh on that because it became a full-time gig, and it's like, I'm very happy to do free things, but I still need to eat. So, yeah, and my work has gotten much, much more intricate and complicated from, like, a decade ago, when I did this. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, so we've successfully released the dead people to the light. Thank you, Jesus. So, is there anything energetic to do for the group today? Watching now and in the future? Yes. This is on my master menu. Yes. This is in column A. No. Column B. No. All right. That takes us to the new stuff. This is an incarnation issue. Nope. Supported optimism infusion upgrade. Heart secret. Disabled ambition. Witnessing lineage despair. Opening a positive vortex. In prison. Supported corpus callosum interfacing. Okay, there you go. That's a yes. So, all right. And speaking of the corpus callosum and all of that, one of the things I used to check on people early on wow, simple words are not coming into my head.
Chicken on that.
But early on, as I was turning more to energy work and less chiropractic, I would ask my patients back when they were patients, back when I had a title. I would say like I would adjust them and go like, "Can I do a little energy work on you?" Oh, it's so weird. And I don't think anybody ever said no. And yeah, some fucking amazing things happened. You're welcome, everybody. But one of the things I would ask about, oh, I think my friend Kufu, my shaman friend Kufu, in our group one night, he asked us, like, how many of you are left-handed? And we raised our hands, who's right-handed? And, the majority of people were right-handed, as usual. And then he asked me, it was like his little experiment, what's happening? What's that noise?
Some car outside.
Oh, okay, cool. So anyway, he asked if there was, if I would get up and muscle test each of the people to see if they were actually born left-handed or not. And I don't think it was everybody, but the vast majority of people tested as left-handed at birth, even though they were right-handed.
Interesting.
It's like, huh. So to me, that's an energetic disconnect. And so that was part of my gig for a while. It's like kind of reconnecting something so people, yeah, so we could get rid of that little weirdness. Doesn't mean people turn into left-handed people, but as I was doing that in my practice, I would often just ask people, through muscle testing, like, I was born left-handed. Yes. Yeah. I don't know why I'm demonstrating on my own arm. Yeah. Just in case you don't know what muscle testing is. And I remember this one woman, she tested as left-handed at birth, and she was immediately angry. She was a little bit older, raised in Mexico, I believe, and she's like, "I knew it." And she remembered being a tiny little thing in school, I believe in Mexico. Although don't worry, it happened everywhere, what I'm about to say.
I remember that.
Like her left hand was tied behind her back, so she was forced to be right-handed, which I think is a fucking crime against humanity. Yeah, because it really is when you're left-handed, you're more in touch with the right side of your brain, and that's the more like artistic and intuitive and, dare I say, magical side, not to be confused with the right side of the brain, which, I'm sorry, the left side gets confusing. The left side of the brain, which controls the right side, and that's more like analytical, and this is how it is, and more kind of straightforward. And both are really important. And to cut people off, like, well, of course, my theory is, of course, I'm sure this isn't even my theory, alone, just my theory, that of course, to control people, like religion isn't enough. We need something more. So let's make sure people get a little disconnected or a lot disconnected from their creativity and their inspiration and their intuition and their magic so we can fucking control people. What the fuck? That still makes me angry. And somebody even gave me a book years ago. I've since gotten rid of it, but is called The Sinister People, the left-handed people. Because
Yeah.
I guess sinistry, I don't know how to say it, but that means left in some language. And, of course, and I'll get off my rant in a second. And hi, Laura, I'll play your theme song in a second. But it's like, oh, if you're caught stealing in some cultures, well, then we're going to cut off your right hand because that's your good hand. That's the hand that you shake hands with. That's the hand you eat with. No, you eat with your left hand. No, God damn it. I'm fucking up my own story. But basically,
it's the left hand you wipe your butt with.
Thank you. That's it. So like cutting off your hand, it's like, wow. Humans can be extraordinarily cruel, but I don't need to tell you that. Yeah. So yeah, that plus religion. Maybe that started with religion. I don't know. Ugh. Anyway, I'm so grateful, and I talk about it at great length in my book, how I was not infected with religious propaganda. I've never been raised to think I was a sinner or that, all of that. Anyway, so let's find Laura's theme song. Here you go, Laura.
Laura, it's Laura, and Laura is here. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura. I'm glad you're here, Laura. Yeah. And Laura, I'm just gonna say that I always think it's cute, and I appreciate it when you end up watching later when you can't watch live, and you let me know that you're looking forward to watching it. It's like, oh, that makes me so happy. So welcome. Oh, my grandpa had his left hand tied behind his back in school. Yeah.
So they don't have to make left-handed scissors. I mean, I don't know if it was really that. Really, they were just trying to get kids to fit in. It was easier in the whole, factory schooling thing.
Factory schooling. That's well put.
Yeah.
I always buy left-handed scissors if given the opportunity. And you know where I buy them, Coop? One guess. Where do you think I buy my left-handed scissors?
Leptorium, of course.
Ned Flanders' Leptorium from The Simpsons, but it's shut down, right? He wasn't able to sustain that? I feel like.
I don't know. I don't know what Ned's up to. It's been a long time since I really have been watching that show religiously. So,
and it's still new on TV.
Oh, there's so many new ones. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Most show on TV ever.
Oh shit! The story continues. It says it caused him to be dyslexic and to not have great reading skills his whole life. Oh,
see, that fucks your brain, I'm sure.
Oh my God, that's just.
How many millions of kids that got that treatment? I mean, it's just really sad.
Woo!
Just the shame of it all, too. I mean, just made to feel bad because of something you have no control over. I mean, that's insane.
And it's not the same thing, but so I wasn't forced to not be left-handed, but I was forced to sit differently when I was in elementary school, and we had what we called pods. So 4 different pods. And,
I had open school too. Yeah, no, there's no door, right? There's like a common area. And
you do some like accordion doors.
Yeah. Okay, but we never really use them.
Part where that's where the morning reports would happen, which I loved. I did those all the time, and I dress up, and I'd always get A's. And the teacher, anyway, that was like one of the pleasant parts of elementary school. And I signed up for extra ones so I could get out of PE because I've been terrified of PE my whole life. I think I could handle it now as a 57-and-a-half-year-old, but terrifying, like made me miserable. Turns out I'm really sensitive. Wish I would have known that back then. But anyway, why did I bring up the pods? Oh, but we would sit. So we would all the classrooms would gather, and we'd sit on the floor, and we'd like say the Pledge of Allegiance, standing, of course. Ugh. Did they get rid of the Pledge of Allegiance? I hope so, because gross. No, but anyway,
I think they do it still.
Vomit. I don't think anybody should be forced to pledge. Gross. Anyway, and we'd sing a patriotic song, which I was always down for that because singing. But and then the teachers would make announcements, and there'd be morning reports, which were usually boring, blah 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 blah. And as I mentioned, I did mine with costumes. I even did news stories, news shows with commercials. But anyway, um,
Good.
yeah, I remember singing with a arrow. Do you remember the song "Me and My Arrow"? Me and my arrow. It's like a story about a dog and a guy, which I just heard about from Dave. I didn't know that's what the song was from, but I just walked across the stage with a real arrow. It was lame, but anyway, it got some laughs. Like I was like 10 or 11, so give me a break. Yeah, but the only reason I bring this up is not to brag about my morning report skills. Was when we were sitting on the floor, I naturally sat with my legs folded back
My
instead
sister
of,
do that. Yeah.
and I was made to not do that. And so it's been kind of my mission lately is every so often I get on the floor and sit with my legs back. And I used to be able to lie all the way
Oh wow.
back flat
Yeah.
on the ground with my legs back. That's when I was a little kid. So I'm trying to get back to that. And just one more weird story before we get to this supported corpus callosum interfacing process for everyone. I remember when the big earthquake hit in Los Angeles. Was that like 71, 72? It was a big one. And I remember me and JD, my P brother, my body piercing jewelry empire brother, we all got on the big bed with mom and dad, and I think it happened early in the morning, so we spent the rest of our sleep time all together. And I remember for some reason the only way I could feel safe, and it's so fucking weird, but the only way I could feel safe, even though my dad was there and my mom, my protectors, safe house, the only way I could feel safe was to lie with my legs back like that, on my back all the way down, and sleep like that.
Weird. Huh.
Kids are weird.
Yeah, my sister used to sit like that though. You get down on the floor to color and whatever, she'd flop down like that with her legs out.
I feel like it's a more sturdy way to sit. Like it, if you want to say Indian style, which probably isn't like, why is it Indian style? But cross-legged is more, it's not as sturdy, but when you're like that, you've got like this strong base. Just my opinion. Wow, I have a lot of opinions. Have you noticed? Anyway, so let's go ahead and see if this supported corpus callosum interfacing process is ready for the people. Okay, so it's safe and appropriate and from the light to do this supported corpus callosum interfacing process for whoever's watching now and in the future, for whoever needs it. Yep. Are we ready? Okay, we are. So you just relax and let's do this. Okay. Did we successfully complete this process for anybody watching now and in the future? Yes. And another corpus callosum story popped into my head. It's gruesome. The movie Frances, Jessica Lange played the role of Frances, who was like a movie star back in like early days of film. Yeah, and I guess she had some emotional disorders of some sort, and they show her getting shock treatments. Yeah. Okay. My brain's going down a different track. And one of the things they did, James Lipton. Do you know who James Lipton is? He's the host of like, he'd have movie stars on and be very pretentious about acting.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite swear word?
Beard. He has a beard.
Anyway, but he played the part of this awful psychiatrist in Frances, and part of her treatment was, if I recall correctly, going up. There's different like foramen, or I can't think of the real word, but like openings in the sinus area, and it's like, I doubt he used a knitting needle, but something that kind of resembled a knitting needle and went up through that and
To
separate the corpus callosum is my understanding. Ooh, mental health care.
also that's how they would do lobotomies too. They go into the eye.
If you can't tell, or if you're just listening to this, I'm freaking out right now. Anyway, the things that people do to other people's bodies and their insides is horrific. Horrific.
Well, if you want to get even more angry about it, like I was reading about, even in the 60s, like if a woman got a cancer diagnosis, the doctor would tell her husband and not her. I just because
you don't want to.
Alabama Governor Wallace, George Wallace, his wife was diagnosed with cancer. He didn't tell her because she was running for governor, so he could control her, right? So he didn't tell her until she got so sick it was obvious. Then she ended up dying like 6 months into office or whatever.
Charming.
I think, and Mimi Eisen, FDR, he had a sister, I think, and she was always a little off. And her dad decided, because he was in charge of her, even though she was an adult woman, to have her lobotomized. They thought that would be a good idea. So to not have any agency at all. You're a woman, and your dad's in charge of you. You're an unmarried woman. Your dad makes all your healthcare decisions for you.
Well, Jane Curtin,
your husband does.
Remember Jane Curtin talking? It's not the same thing, but just women getting fucked. Jane Curtin talking about she's on this hit new TV show in the mid 70s, and she couldn't even get her own credit card without a husband or a father's signature.
Right? Yeah, that's insane.
Fuck that. That's infuriating. So Blanca says, I want to know if I'm a lefty.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? What I would? Yeah, we should all be suspicious, I guess, because they did. There was an anti-lefty campaign. We could all be converted. I don't know.
Yeah, well, even in French, the word for left is gauche, which we all know is like, oh, that's so gauche. That's not a compliment.
No,
that's not a compliment. And I love being married to a fellow lefty. And anytime we sit next to each other having dinner, we do not bump elbows, which is lovely.
See, yeah, it all works out.
Anyway, let's check on Blanca. Let's check on Blanca Hasmin and see. So it's safe and appropriate to check on Blanca. Yes. Okay. Blanca was born left-handed. Blanca was born right-handed. Okay. For what it's worth, Blanca, I get you were born left-handed. Yeah. So, and Erica is freaking out too. The idea of an ice pick anywhere is disgusting. Yeah. Except on ice, of course. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if there's anything else to do for the group today. It's safe and appropriate to do a little bit more magic for the group. Yes. This is on my master menu. Yes. This is in column A. Yes. In an odd numbered row. No. In row 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Wow. I swear this shows up like every time. I'm not complaining. I just think it's interesting. So either a frozen negative emotion or a positive atrophied emotion.
Yeah. We did this last week, actually.
What's that?
I think we did this last week.
Yeah. It showed up a bunch. And not to go into the whole story, but the first one I released or freed up for myself, ever since then, I can accept compliments. Unlike ever before in my life. Weird. But I'll take it. So this is a frozen negative emotion for the group? No, this is an atrophied positive emotion. Okay. So kind of the idea is that something happens and a part of you is kind of shut down and that emotion isn't as usable or reachable or feelable, identified. Yeah. Anyway, so this emotion is in column A. Yes. In an odd numbered row. Yes. In row 1. Yes. In row 3. No. Okay. This showed up for somebody recently. I don't know if this is on the show or not, but regardless, that's what we're doing today. Atrophied energy of faith. So this atrophied energy of faith is ready to be what I like to say deatrophied. Yeah. Brought back to life, rehydrated, usable. Yes. we're going to use a bypass circuitry to disrupt this pattern. Just a reminder, bypass circuitries are handled by Mother Earth Gaia. So let's see which one resonates to disrupt this pattern for who needs it. This is in column A, column B, column C. Yeah. In an odd numbered row, yes. In row 1, yes. In row 3, 5, okay. All right. This one, so, okay. Oh, this is a mouthful. Okay, this is a 3-parter. And just keep in mind, my guides give me these words. Even when I argue with them, like, I don't like this, they always win. So this one's called emotional autophagy. Just say, like, taking out your emotional trash that's collected. Slash interdimensional recalibration. Slash spiritual Merkaba, which is a vehicle, a time-space dimensional vehicle. Anyway, spiritual Merkaba reignition. Okay, so let's see if Gaia's ready. So Gaia, are you ready to facilitate the revelation of this bypass circuitry, thereby disrupting the pattern of this atrophied energy of faith for whoever needs it, watching now or in the future? Yep. This is safe and appropriate from the light. Are we ready? Yep. Okay, so if you're playing along, just relax. Okay, so Gaia, have you successfully facilitated the revelation of this bypass circuitry, thereby disrupting the pattern of this atrophied energy of faith for who needs it? Yep. Thanks, Gaia. You're awesome, as always. Okay, so anything else to do for the group today? Nope. So that we're complete for now. Yep. Okay, so, well, Coop, any parting words?
No. No.
May I make a suggestion? Because I know you, and I can only imagine that you come across interesting things or good quotes or maybe quotes that you live by, like you've mentioned Joseph Campbell, stuff like that. I'm sure he's got some juicy ones. You might just want to write them down if you think of it.
I have a Word doc somewhere that I have. One that comes to mind. The road to excess leads to the palace of wisdom. So,
what does that mean?
William Blake wrote that. So
the road to excess
leads to the palace of wisdom. So think about that one. Well, maybe
sounds like not good.
Well, I think that if you do things too, you'll learn from your mistakes. I hope, and that.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
That's how I've always taken it. If you go too far, that you will hopefully learn from doing that, and you become wiser. So.
Oh, I get it. So yeah, learn from your mistakes. Okay.
It's kind of how I don't know. I had not read the lines before or after that, so I don't know what the context of those all, but those always kind of stuck with me. So.
Well, I dare you. Let's all dare Coop to come up with a cool quote. That's your homework for the week.
Okay.
And you will be severely punished if you don't come through with it.
Okay.
Sorry. That's just the way it is, Coop, and there's no questioning it. So anyway, but kidding. So thank you for watching now and in the future. And if I can be of any assistance, please send me a message. Once again, my website is energyhealingwithcolleen.com. Sign up for my weekly newsletter. Yeah, let me know if I can be of any assistance. And yeah, so thank you, Coop. I love you, and I love you all for joining me. And let me know if I can be of assistance. So I'm going to try to time the ending of my show to correspond with the beautiful music created for me by Artica Productions, aka Art and Erica and Art. Here we go. Bye.
You are magic, we are magic Mondays with Colleen.